country is being rigged right now. This was done by the Biden administration in order to wound or hurt an opponent, a political opponent. And I think it's just a disgrace. And we'll keep fighting. We'll fight till the end and we'll win because our country's gone to hell.
Donald Trump, now the first president in U.S. history convicted of a crime, as a Manhattan jury has found him guilty on 34 felony counts in his criminal trial. Jurors deliberated for 2 days, siding with prosecutors who alleged that Trump authorized the plan to falsify checks and records to cover up an alleged sexual encounter with Stormy Daniels ahead of the 2016 election. He says that sexual encounter never happened. Sentencing is set for July 11th, 4 days before the Republican convention, where Trump is set to receive the GOP nomination. With more on today's historic verdict, we're joined by political analyst Dan Schnur, who teaches at USC, Pepperdine, UC Berkeley. Great to see you, Dan. Sort of because you are the guy and literally was my old history professor for politics, put this moment in some historical context, what this means and what's next for Trump.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you both for letting me join you for this, because you're right, it is a historic day. But I think it is worth noting that over the last several years in American politics, we've seen several historic occasions, and they might not be as big of a deal as they once were. That's not me suggesting that the verdict isn't an important one. It's critically important. But I will admit, as someone who thought that the Donald Trump Access Hollywood tape would prevent him from being elected president in 2016, I think it's worth us being a bit circumspect as to the political impact of the decision, as opposed to the historical import.
Yeah, well, let's talk more about the political impact, because prior to the verdict being read today, a new poll came out that said regardless of that verdict, whether it was an acquittal or a conviction or a mixed verdict, it wasn't going to change any minds. And in fact, once that verdict was read, the Trump campaign website crashed, which means people wanted to donate, give more. So that impact seems to only be a positive one for the former president. Do you agree?
Well, the Trump campaign has demonstrated over the last several weeks that they have been able to use the trial as a way of boosting their fundraising. So no question about it, Trump's most loyal supporters are even more motivated now than they were 6 weeks ago because of the trial and because of the verdict. The challenge for Trump is that in order to get elected president, he can't just motivate his base. He has to be able to reach beyond that core of most loyal supporters. And what's not clear yet, at least from the campaign's initial response tonight, is because this is a message designed to fire up the troops, we don't know yet if they're going to be able to find a way to use this to reach beyond his core group of supporters. That's going to be the real test for the Trump campaign going forward, not whether they raise a little bit more money off of it or not.
Right. There's no doubt that the most Trumpy people are more Trumpy. Maybe the conservative-leaning folks that were maybe on the fence or maybe thinking about RFK, they may be more likely to vote for him. But what about those swing voters who don't pay that close attention to this stuff in a few states? What are they going to say about all this? Let's talk about the impact on Joe Biden. We've got a statement from the Biden campaign. They chose not to put Joe Biden out in front tonight. They just released a statement. Let's put that on the screen. It says, convicted felon or not, Trump will be the Republican nominee for president. The threat Trump poses to our democracy has never been greater. He's running an increasingly unhinged campaign of revenge and retribution, pledging to be a dictator on day one. What do you make of the way that they're handling this and sort of the unprecedented challenge for them of not overplaying their hand?
Well, to me, Alex, this is the more interesting and the more important question. We know that Trump's campaign can use the verdict to motivate his base. The question is whether Biden can use the verdict to motivate the Democratic base. We know that over the last several months, Biden's greatest struggle has been motivating progressive Democrats, particularly young people, particularly voters from underrepresented minority communities, to support him as opposed to supporting a third-party candidate or staying home on Election Day. Because these progressive Democrats have been so angry with Biden on Gaza, on climate change, and on any number of issues, a lot of them have been saying, Well, there's really not much difference between Trump and Biden. The question now going forward is whether the Biden campaign can use this verdict as a way of convincing those progressives that, in fact, it's worth their time and effort to turn out in November.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see them on a stage together when they debate next month, and how this factors into that. I'm sure will be a highly televised debate. Dan Schnur,
No question.
we appreciate you. Thank you for teaching Alex when he was a few years younger. I think you did a little bit of a too good of a job. We appreciate you being with us tonight.
Thanks so much for having me, and glad to see that you're paying attention in class, Alex.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Nice.